project known as the Loop to you all today. This is an extremely exciting day. The project is truly remarkable. Last night at Planning Commission, someone mentioned that it's a game changer, and in fact it is. This will be a showcase for the world, really, as far as an innovative transportation system with underground, all-electric vehicles up and down our resort corridor and hopefully beyond in the future. So I'm truly honored to be here with Steve to present this project to you. He has a presentation, but before I turn it over to him, I would like to thank your staff. Yolanda King and Nancy and all of their directors and team members have been phenomenal to work with. Negotiating the franchise agreement and the land use applications that are before you today have literally been hours and hours of work, and it's been a true pleasure. Your staff is the top staff available, and they've been really phenomenal to work with, so we appreciate that. Also, we'd like to thank you all, commissioners, because I know you've spent a lot of time and thought thinking outside of the box. This is different. This is not something the Valley has seen or any of your departments have seen, so we appreciate your open-mindedness, your creative thinking, and really your leadership to get us to this point today. So with that said, I will turn it over to Steve, and he'll tell you more about this exciting project.
Yeah, and just to echo what Stephanie says, thank you so much.
Nope, got to state and spell your name for the record.
Steve Davis, 3395 Cambridge. Yeah, to echo what Stephanie had said, thanks to all of you for all the time and to your staff. The teams have been great. It's been a long journey, so we're excited to be here. So before kind of going into the specifics of Vegas Loop, just to kind of explain what Loop is, because it's kind of a new term, it's a new mode of transportation. Loop is electric vehicles in tunnels. It's a very, very simple transportation architecture, very, very like simple in concept, but very profound with what it actually affects. And the big thing, the most important thing I think, is really the express nature of this, which is in Las Vegas, we're literally on every corner, you have a very populated, very like impressive resort or property. If you have 51 stations, which is what's being proposed here, and you have to stop at every one, that's a very, very long trip. If you can get in a vehicle, and when I say get in a vehicle, not wait for the vehicle, walk into a station and the vehicle is waiting for you, and go directly to your station, you can really, really kind of solve the traffic problem. And so the example on this slide is if you have 10 stations and 5 miles, and that's literally the airport to the convention center, that becomes a 5-minute trip, as opposed to, let's say, a 15 or 20-minute trip. The zero emissions is wonderful. It's the environmentally the best you can do on a public transportation system, having fully electric vehicles. To be very clear up front, safety is the absolute most important thing on this system. My boss has been extremely clear with me, this must be the safest and securest public transportation system ever built. I can step through these one by one. It would take a fair amount of time. But a few that I really want to focus on, at least at this meeting, is first the fantastic partnership that we have with the local fire department and police department. This has never been done before, so it's really important that we have fantastic partnerships there. We've already completed 45 drills from tabletop to in-tunnel, including tunnel rescue training, and we're going to continue to do so and to expand that. And when you kind of introduce a new major piece of infrastructure, it is fundamentally important that the police department and the fire department and the county are all partners to make sure it's as safe and secure as possible. On the security part, I do also want to mention that we do have, we coordinate an enormous amount with the Department of Homeland Security, and we actually have their gold rating, which is literally the highest rating you can receive from DHS. We'll continue to do so. It's actually in the franchise agreement itself. We would do it anyway. It's just very, very important, and I just again want to stress that safety and security are the highest priorities for us, and that's only made possible through the partnerships with you. Quick recap of what we built so far. We built 3 stations, so 3 of the 51 are complete. This was at the Las Vegas Convention Center. They've been a great partner as well, and I'd say, at least in my opinion, it's been a fantastic success. We've put hundreds of thousands of people through. I don't think people realize that it's open every day. It's operating right now. Very safely, very successfully. What used to be a 45-minute walk is now a 2-minute drive, and I hope all of you have actually taken that ride. When I talk about stations, remember these are just cars, so stations are places with parking spots. 2 types, subsurface, underground, and surface. So this is the subsurface station that's operational at the convention center right now. You can see what it looks like. Most of the stations, there's no reason for them to be this big. For the convention center, they need, the requirement was 4,400 people an hour. We exceed that fairly easily. Most of the stations along the resort corridor require much less ridership, so they'll have smaller stations. And that's just kind of an overhead view of a surface station, also at the convention center. Yep, what the tunnel looks like. Okay, so let's actually talk about the Vegas Loop itself. We're seeking approval for 29 miles. I cannot express to you how large a project this is. 29 miles is an enormous number. In the past 10 years, in the entire country, I believe less than 20 miles of subway has been constructed. So while this is not a subway, we're looking to build more than the rest of the country in the last 10 years. 51 stations, very large number. And capacity, more than 57,000 people. It's actually a lot more than that, but that's kind of the number that we think is going to end up being at the sweet spot for this corridor.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, 57,000 passengers per what?
Per hour.
Per hour. Okay.
Per hour, yeah, correct. It's actually a conservatively low number, to be honest. So critical items, there is no taxpayer dollars. This is all being funded privately. So 100% of financial risk is on myself and our partners. In addition to that, a franchise fee is being paid to the county. So besides us paying for this, the county will be paid a franchise fee, which is a tiered structure. So at low ridership, it's a lower fee, and then it jumps up to the 5% higher fee. I believe at $17.5 million per quarter. I love that structure because it basically means if we are all incentivized for this to be a success, and I believe the county will make a lot of money off of this, which will be great, in addition to the system itself. But again, back to the magnitude of this system, this is enormous. And this is not possible for the boring company to build by ourselves. Like, impossible, way too big. We're actually a fairly small company. So the only way this happens is with us to have local partnerships with contractors, and many of them are here to talk, hopefully in support. We need those contractors in order for this to be successful. The second thing is, the boring machines that we've designed are different than many boring machines. An enormous amount of local workforce training must happen. Again, this project does not succeed if we do not have proper training programs. So if this is approved, one of the first things you'll see is enormous amounts of partnerships with local contractors, the ones that have been great partners already, and training programs immediately set up. Also, just one thing I should mention is I actually just see this as the beginning. If this is successful, which I truly hope it is, this should expand further. Additional communities, hopefully to Los Angeles at some point once our tunneling speed can justify it, which it cannot as of today, but I bet it will pretty soon. And then one thing I should have said earlier, which I apologize for omitting, just to give people a concept of what this ride looks like. Airport to convention center is a good example, but yeah, that's about a 5-minute drive for about $10, and that's per vehicle. So if you have 3 people in the vehicle, it's literally $3 a person. The point is, this is not transportation for the wealthy. This is very affordable, very accessible. And very comfortable and very safe transportation. And we're really excited to work with you to hopefully bring this to fruition. I believe that's all we have. And again, truly appreciate all the time. We'll happily answer any questions.
Okay, so I don't see the person here that asked, but we did have an ADA person here yesterday who asked if they will be able to use the system. So if you could maybe address that, I just want to make sure I get it on the record for him.
Yeah, of course. ADA accessibility is paramount, and it's something we've been working on with nonprofits and local groups for years, actually. To go into a little bit of detail, there's a few different solutions that we have. One, all of our vehicles actually are outfitted with transfer boards, every single one of them. Others can actually tow, and then we actually are in the permitting process right now with the county for a vehicle that passengers with wheelchairs can board, and that's actually in the permitting process right now, and hopefully in service in the next month or two, which would be great. But it is critical that not only the convention center system, but this entire system is ADA accessible, not just for wheelchairs, but for all of the different challenges. And so just on the record, that is fundamentally important, and hopefully, like I said, in a month or two, we're in perfect shape.
Okay. Commissioners, anybody have any questions? Or we have several cards for public hearing, and then I want to bring staff down so they could walk us through the franchise agreement and some of the other questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Is it something where you're going to build it in phases? Will it be operational in state before it's all finished, or is it all just going to be under work and then it's all done and we'll open to turn the key?
Yeah, so it'll be phased construction, and the wonderful thing about Loop is that anytime a new station is built and connected, it's immediately online. So, for example, right now we have 3 stations with the convention center. We're currently tunneling to Resorts World, like right now. And so when that comes on board, those 2 stations can actually be added immediately with the convention center system. So all of a sudden we'll go from 3 to 5 stations overnight. As we work with the county on the different phasing plans, every time a different tunnel section is built, that station can be got online. So basically the system will grow and become more and more useful. And so will 51 stations come online immediately? Absolutely not. But if I had to guess, upon receipt of final permit, we probably have in the first 6 months the simpler 5 to 10 stations online, and then about 15 to 20 stations per year till it's complete.
And is it expandable? For example, the one thing I see is not having Chinatown involved. Would that be possible to add that at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. Not only can you expand exterior to the system, you can actually expand within the system. So if ever within the system you need to add a station, it's oversimplifying. You can bust a hole through the tunnel, put an exit, and put an entrance. You can add interior. To add exterior, you essentially add spurs. But it is our goal to very quickly, once the community really likes this, to expand beyond this. So yes, that doesn't just include the county as well. Obviously, we're the city of Las Vegas as well. We're working with them. But to be frank, if the community likes it and you're happy, we would love to make this as large a system as possible, because the larger it is, the more traffic is being resolved and the more useful it is. So I would hope this is just the beginning, to be very frank.
Okay. Commissioner Naft?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My questions, probably directed towards Manager King, are on Section 9.1. It's something that I know Mr. Davis and the Chief and I have spoke about quite a bit, but just a little bit more clarification on how the determination of what the boring company will be purchasing for the fire department to make sure that they are not out of pocket on the expenses that are incurred because of this project.
Commissioner, under Section 9.1, the agreement does include that the Clark County Fire Department, as well as the franchisee, that they shall meet and develop a list of equipment that will be required from the fire department, as well as any additional operating costs that may result as a result of the system being built. And so they will meet and determine what the needs are of the Clark County Fire Department, and no permits will be issued until such time there is agreement between, and the fire department is in agreement with what the boring company will provide for us.
And that language gives you and presumably the chief the confidence that we get what we need from
Yes,
a fire
it does.
prevention, fire response side?
Absolutely. The fact that we are will not be able to issue permits until such time, that's really what kind of may hold all this up, and I'm sure the boring company would not want any delay in the permits being issued. So.
Thank you. And I assume the applicant understands the severity of that language and the importance to me and to us.
Yeah, of course, and our incentives are very aligned. For the convention center project, we purchased tunnel rescue equipment for the fire department, and then put 48 of their people through tunnel rescue training. That was the appropriate amount for the smaller system. For the larger system, it requires a lot more equipment and a lot more training. And like I said, the fire department is our partners, so we're actually very, very aligned and incentivized and eager to work with them to do this. And we've seen the list of equipment. It looks great. So I think we're in good shape there.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner McCurdy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. I've received a couple phone calls just trying to, everyone's trying to understand exactly, how we're doing and the standards that we're going to be utilizing as a part of the safety component. And I know that you've successfully, completed the first phase between the convention center, but also now to Resorts World. And we say that this is just the beginning, and we've said that twice now. Can you just speak to the safety standards that you're going to be utilizing, whether it's in, the national tunneling standards or we're talking about the highway standards, just so we can get that clear and on the record. So in the future, if there are any concerns or issues, we'll have that lined out.
Yeah, of course.
So
sorry.
Commissioner McCurdy, I want to interrupt here. So I'm going to let you say that, and then what I'm going to do is maybe let staff come up, because I think that staff will be better to answer those, because regardless of what you tell us, at the end of the day, those two guys are the ones that are going to drive the whole issue. So
And we can just go
go
straight
ahead.
to staff, Madam Chair.
It's okay. I mean, you can start, but I know that we talked extensively with staff about what that looks like, international building codes and different things. So either you could take a pass, you could answer it, or I could bring staff up.
Sure, my answer is actually going to be the final decision is up to the Clark County Building Department, so they're the appropriate people to ask them. But even on this project, I mean, at least 25 codes are in there that we're compliant with. But again, it's up to the building department.
I think we'll just get what we are accustomed to working with. Kate, you guys have anything else? Nope.
I have just one comment.
Okay.
I know that it had been communicated to you that we were interested in the event of, and I'll call it the unlikely event, but in the event of abandonment or default, that we have capacity that, irrespective of whatever else happens, at the end of the day, if the option were available to us to operate, to take control of, even ownership of the system, it's something that I have felt is critical. If we're doing all of this, not all of it is in public right of way, and I get that, and we're not paying for any of it as they did at the convention center. But I'd like you to think about that, because I think one of the things that gives us just kind of a belt and suspenders sense of comfort is that at the end of the day, we're doing this. These resorts are paying to build whatever they're building. We're going to have stations all over everywhere. The last thing we need is some unlikely event that interrupts it, and then through a bankruptcy proceeding or some other kind of proceeding, there is not found someone who is a substitute who would stand in your shoes. And I want it clear on this record that we need the ability to be able to have a subway system that is functional and operational. So I'd like you to please give serious thought to that, because I think that an important addition to this agreement, I know that probably wrecks this agreement, but it's something that I think needs to be considered and agreed upon by us. And so I want your commitment that you'll work with us to see what we can do to bring that about.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Madam Chair, if I could just expand on that, there is some language in the agreement that gives the county priority. So first priority is in section 14.1 from a security standpoint. Also, there's a transfer section to have a qualified transferee, but we're certainly happy to continue to work on that issue if we need to further clarify.
What happened to me is my thinking about it was influenced by what I read in the LVCVA agreement. And so I'm looking to see what level of comfort we can have that if this happens, that we have 51 stations that are operational, irrespective of what the future of the boring company is. That's what I'm saying.
Understood, yes. We'll keep.
So let me have Yolanda, maybe you can give some highlights of the franchise agreement, because I think that there are a lot of protections on our part, but then I want to ask Rob to maybe elaborate. So maybe you guys could take a seat.
Okay.
And we'll talk to our staff. I
One
haven't
thing-
opened up the public hearing yet, so I want to ask our staff first.
Okay,
Because
we are
I'd like
here
to
to
be able
answer
to
questions.
address as many questions that the public has. And for me in particular, this is why I pushed for the franchise agreement, because I didn't want to see a hodgepodge of stations, keep moving along, much as this is a regional, that this is could be the future of how we do things in Clark County. So if maybe Yolanda, and then we'll let you come back up and address any questions that the public may have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to highlight an issue that Commissioner McCurdy mentioned is I do want to make note that item 3.2 does address the provisions related to the National Fire Protection Association and Clark County Fire Department and Building Department. And this is another one of those provisions that we will need to meet. And the sole final approval does rely on the Clark County Fire Department as well as the building to determine which of those standards would apply in this situation. So I just wanted to point that out. Also, I'd like to point out in terms of security, there's section 6.4, which also provides that the franchisee shall conduct a critical infrastructure vulnerability assessment of the monorail, and this would be in accordance with the National Infrastructure Protection Plan that is under the U.S. Homeland Security. So those are some additional things that are included in the franchise agreement, and the Boring Company and Clark County departments will meet to determine what's appropriate in terms of the standards that are needed for the system. Madam Chair and Commissioners, I would like to highlight in terms of the franchise agreement, or excuse me, the franchise fees in terms of what that looks like. So I'm starting in Section 8 of the franchise payments and fees, just to, and Mr. Davis alluded to this earlier, in terms of what the county will collect with franchise fees, please note that the quarterly gross revenue of less than $17,500,000, that will be assessed at 0.5%, and then any quarterly gross revenues that exceed that threshold, the franchise agreement calls for that gross revenues in excess of the 17.5 million will be assessed at the 5%. That the tiered approach does eventually get us to the 5%. And as Mr. Davis noted, we all hope to get to that, because that means we're all being successful, and that the county could possibly be able to charge a higher franchise fee based on the revenues that are collected quarterly from that system. Let's see. We've talked about the abandonment of the system, and Rob, I don't know if you want to add to that to solidify what we believe the language allows for the county.
Right. If the monorail is abandoned at some point, there's a process it has to go through. There's a period where it would be determined if it's abandoned. So a 180-day period. Then there's a notice requirement, a 60-day notice requirement, and there is subject to lenders' rights. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a abandonment period of 180 days, and then there's a notice period that the county would have to give notice for the applicant to remedy the abandonment cure. And there's also lenders' rights. But at some point, the county could then revoke the franchise agreement. Now, the lender or the applicant can then offer a substitute entity, but the board would have the authority to consider that entity and then approve the entity to substitute in for the developer, the applicant.
Okay. Ms. King.
And Commissioners, please note that this franchise agreement is effective or in effect for 50 years, so it's a 50-year franchise agreement. We do have a section in here that does provide for the decommissioning of the system if there is any such abandonment or default of the system, so that is included. And let's see if there's anything else to highlight here. Obviously, under Exhibit A, it's going to be Exhibit B, so this includes the map of the system that is currently being proposed under this franchise agreement. Please note that if there are any changes, additions to the actual map that's presented in this franchise agreement, that will need to come back to the board by way of an amendment, and that's not any different from any other types of franchise agreements that we've had with our franchisee, i.e. the monorail. So I just wanted to point that out, that if there are any changes, that those changes would need to come back to you all as an amendment for review and approval. Madam Chair, if there are, I don't have anything else to point out in the agreement unless you all have specific questions pertaining to any of the sections within the agreement.
Okay, I have some specific questions. You can imagine I went through this thing 50 times and probably called Rob and Jerry at least 100. So, Jerry, if you could come down, Mr. Stevie, because I want to talk about the county inspections, because I want to make sure that the record is very clear, because this is a 50-year agreement and things may change over time. how the process works. Because for me, I wanted to make sure that as determined or designee, that there's a little bit of history for when maybe Madeline's sitting in this, or Liam, I want to make sure there's some history, because that was one of the things we found with the monorail. There wasn't a lot of conversation, so go ahead. So can you talk about the inspections, which is specifically in section 19.1, and how that works, and if they want to change out something, what that looks like? I did talk to Public Works, and they said that they hold them to the highest roadway standards as far as some of that. So, but maybe if they want to use alternative methods or something.
Okay. Jerry Stevie, I'm the Director of Building and Fire Prevention. 19.1 is regarding the inspection of the system. There's really two different types of inspections. There's the construction inspection. That's done, and to answer the Commissioner McCurdy's deal, the standards will be the applicable provisions of the fire code, the International Fire Code, the International Building Code, NFPA 130, since it's a guideway, a fixed guideway will be applicable. Parts of NFPA 502, since it's a road tunnel, will also be applicable. The fire sprinkler, NFPA 13. I mean, there's a whole standard, whole series of standards that will be applicable to this project. And as was stated, the agreement allows the fire chief and myself as the building official to make the final determination of what standards apply and where. But during the process.
So with that, Jerry, right, we have differences of opinions, but we do have a process, right? It goes through our Board of Appeal. It can go through our Board of Appeals if somebody doesn't agree, and all of those. So we have a standard process that we use no matter whose project it is.
Correct. There is yesterday at the board meeting, you guys appointed 8 members to the combination Board of Building Appeals. That board exists primarily to hear disagreements with the building official determinations and interpretations. So that exists for anybody. If they disagree, we can go through that appeal process, and that board hears it, and they make the final decision.
Okay, and then also on this, we discussed making sure that they maintain it to the highest level, and what that looks like. We go out once a year. Can you maybe talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, also associated with this, in addition to the building and fire permits that will be issued for the construction, there's also an ATS permit, an amusement and transportation system permit. That requires periodic maintenance, requires periodic inspections, reporting, any issues that they have in the system. They're required to report immediately, do investigations, and all that happens. It happens now on the LVCVA connection. It's a standard with all of it. All of the amusement and transportation facilities that we permit now has the same provisions. It's nothing different than what we have for like the tram at the airport, the Ferris wheel. I mean, it's a standard for us.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions of Mr. Seavey? I'm just trying to make sure there's a very clear record, because I feel like we put a lot of work into addressing many of the early on concerns and what the expectations are for the long term. So,
I have just
Commissioner Gibson.
So I've understood that in the case of standards for which we have no experience here in our department, because we don't have tunnels, roadway, we might have a roadway tunnel, right? But in terms of massive tunnels and subway systems and the like, and whatever the standards may be that may be unique and new to us, I've understood that we have determined how we will go about bringing expertise to our department to provide additional support in the event that questions like that arise. And I'm correct in that, am I not?
When there is a area of the code outside our area of expertise, there is, we have a procedure, it's called our TG 200. It actually establishes where the applicant can identify 3 experts licensed in Nevada that they submit the names to us, we review the application, and we choose them, and they do a peer review, so that we basically enhance our experience using the experts throughout the country.
And you're confident that that process would enable us to acquire and then discharge our responsibility with adequate experience at the table?
Absolutely, we do it on most major projects.
So, and then Jerry, much like any other significant project, we make them put a bond up before any permits. So it sounds like there's tons of steps that have to happen before the permits actually can come into play. I did see Chief Steinbeck's list. It's very extensive. Some short-term, some long-term things that we have to have. So they'll have to put up a bond, and then I think as we go through the designing, right, we'll address those safety issues of how you come on and off of those ramps depending on what it is. And so it'll be much like any of the other big projects that we've built. We never built a stadium for $65,000 either, so we got through that. So I just know what it takes and how lucky we are to have pretty smart staff over there that can figure it out.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. I do have several cards, so if you just want to line up, and then I'll check you off, and then we'll see if we need to ask some additional things. Good morning, Mr. Stanley. Come on. You can come up. Yep. I'm not going to call everybody's name because I have a long list, and but I'll check you off as you speak. Go ahead.
I can do this?
Yep. And please state and spell your name for the record. It helps my clerk who has to put this all in writing.
Madam Chair, members of the council, thank you for opportunity to speak before you today. William Stanley, representing the Southern Nevada Building Trades Union, 5340 North Campbell Road, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89149. I'm here today to tell you, and I want to thank you first of all, most of you that we've had conversation with, helping us work through this process. Thank you. Those of you that we've worked really intimately with on this issue, I really thank you for your time and your consideration. As of this morning, I believe that we have come to an agreement on moving forward, and so at this point, the Southern Nevada Building Trades Union and our 17 building crafts will support the project. We have also come to an understanding with representative of the boring company that we will sit down and ensure that the safety standards that I have been harping about with you guys since we began this, those are folks that our family, your family, members of our family that are going to be asked to go into a very dangerous environment to construct this project. And we want to make sure that those folks are safe. That's always our paramount issue when we look at complex projects like this one. I appreciate the chairwoman's description of this. It is complex. It is even more complex, I think, than the Raider Stadium was because it's underground, right? And so I thank you. I thank you for your time, and I don't think we would have got here without your assistance and your help, and so thank you very much.
Thank you. It's not what I was expecting, so I'm in awe just a second, but thank you, Bill. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Rama Venkat, R-A-M-A-V-E-N-K-A-T, Dean of UNLV College of Engineering. And you know UNLV's address, if you want me to spell it out, it's 4505 South Maryland Parkway, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89154. The thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about is that, of course, we have a Transportation Research Center at the university. Dr. Sashi Nambisan, who's the director of it, could not be here, so I'm representing him. I had a good conversation with him on this topic. So what we think is that if a reliable, high-capacity, efficient transportation network could be developed with strategic locations, that's an important point, that there are 51 locations that Mr. Davis identified. If we can have them in the resort corridor, such as the airport, UNLV, Stadia, then I think it will be very beneficial to our county. And these are the perspectives that we have on this. It, of course, reduces the travel time. travel time reliability between points of the network. This is very, very important because the surface congestion in the resort corridor is serious sometimes, especially on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And it would also expand the travel time envelope. I'll explain what that is. Travel time envelope is that if a budget is that if somebody has, let's say, 3 hours, they want to go from airport to stadium to a couple of points in a convention center, maybe come back to UNLV. They have limited time. With this system, they would be able to go to all these places very efficiently. You saw the travel time that Mr. Davis talked about, so that'll be very, very important. The other thing is that this expands the spatial area from which we can get customers, visitors, students into the resort corridor and then get back out in an efficient manner. That's also very, very important. This, of course, reduces vehicular traffic on the surface streets. Of course, on the waiting on the signals, the idling time, of course, that causes environmental emission. All of that would be reduced, so which is very, very good for the air quality of the county. During the planning and design phase, of course, we see that there will be a lot of CSN, UNLV graduates could be employed as interns and students. Probably this project looks like goes on for several years. So this would really have a lot of employment opportunity for our students. And the long-term maintenance and operation of this facility, of course, would require technical folks from CSN and UNLV, which is very, very good. In terms of economic activity, I'm not an economist, so I don't have any knowledge on that. Of course, UNLV's business school can do that for you. And we think to the extent the cost is minimal, which I see that the cost for travel is very limited, this is going to be very beneficial for the county, and we support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Next speaker, please.
Billy Orcutt, 7523 Trickling Wash Drive. I'm here representing in Mountain West Excavation and Utilities. We're a locally owned, woman-owned business. We employ operating engineers and local labor unions. Our primary focus is the strip and strip corridor. The boring company reached out to us in early 21 to be a partner of theirs, and we've been on site with them approximately 1 week a month since that time. They've kept our union members and been a financial benefit for our company. We're very excited to be a part of this tunnel project and hoping the support of the commission, and look forward to many more years of involvement with them. If you haven't taken a tour of the tunnel that's been completed, I encourage you. It's very impressive. Projects like these are what sets Las Vegas apart and keeps our city alive and exciting. Las Vegas has always set the standards for the rest of the world to keep up with, and I believe this project will be a key part and innovative and moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Danny Thompson, 2057 Symphonia Drive, Henderson, Nevada. I'm here today representing the Operating Engineers Local 12. You know, the Operating Engineers Local 12 have a long history since literally the 1960s at the Nevada test site, operating boring machines and Yucca Mountain and the River Mountain project that brings the water to us, which was the largest public works job done in the history of the state, culminating with the drain that we put in Lake Mead, which was the most dangerous and most engineering complex project of its kind in the United States at the time. Because at the time, if there would have been a catastrophic event in that tunnel, all of those people, the members of Local 872 and Local 12 would have died, because even if they could have got in a pressurized vessel, there would be no way to get them in 600 feet of water. And so we have a long history of doing this work along with the laborers. We have worked out our differences with the boring company, and we're happy to be here today to support this project, and we look forward to help construct this system as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Next speaker.
I'm Gordon Prouty. Address is 2946 Mondavi Court, Las Vegas. And thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners, for this opportunity today. I'm the Vice President of Public Relations and Community Affairs at Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. As one of the most tenured resort, casino, and convention properties here in Las Vegas, we know through experience just how competitive the travel, tourism, meetings, and conventions business is now and will continue to be. As this region continues to grow into a truly world-class region, it's critical that we develop the infrastructure required now to meet the needs of our expanding region and to stay ahead of other destinations in this hyper-competitive travel and convention industry. Westgate Las Vegas and Westgate Resorts Corporate fully support the Boring Company's Vegas Loop project and all of the future expansions that are planned. This will provide much-needed transportation improvements for the region. It'll address increasing traffic issues, address long-term environmental concerns, and it'll improve our overall destination guest experience. The project will benefit Las Vegas residents and visitors, as well as provide a competitive advantage over other domestic and international destinations. As I mentioned last night on a personal note, I've had the opportunity, or maybe lack of opportunity, to live in Philadelphia, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Seattle before coming to Las Vegas. And what I said last night is this project is a game changer. This will put us a step above all of those destinations. So I encourage you to join us in our support of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker. I actually have 2 microphones, so you guys can do both, and then that way the next one. I know I have 40 more cards, so I'm trying
I'll be quick. Gordon pretty much said everything I was going to say anyway. Jack Barron's Dreamscape Company's Vice President of Development, 3700 West Flamingo Road. We are the owners of the Rio Hotel. I am also speaking in support today of the Vegas Loop and the Boring Company. Gordon really pointed out a lot of the economic and hospitality industry impact. Clearly, it goes without saying, we've budgeted several $1 million to build the station. If you multiply that by the 51 that are planned, that's probably not even in the budget numbers. Those are numbers that we're carrying as a private enterprise as well to bring the station to our casino. We are really excited about the connectivity, being able to get to the convention center in 5 minutes, get to Allegiant Stadium. We hope to potentially do a deal where we can provide some of our 5,000 parking spots to alleviate Allegiance issues. The only other thing that I would probably want to talk about is the fact that I don't think anybody has addressed the fact that this in itself is a tourist attraction. It's a novelty that nobody else in the United States that I'm aware of or in the world is building a loop to this magnitude. I think there will be people that will ride this simply for the novelty effect, and I think that's just one more item that hasn't been even considered on top of all of the business aspects and the boon to the hospitality industry. So thank you for your time. Please support it.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris Plant, PLANT, 3801 Las Vegas Boulevard, here on behalf of Tropicana Las Vegas, and really just echoing the 2 predecessor speakers in terms of the innovation it brings to the corridor, the mobility it brings to the corridor, the environmental benefits it brings to the corridor. Tropicana is fully supportive of this project and look forward to a positive outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Sean Kinsey, SHAWNKINSEY, representing Operating Engineers Local 12. We are looking forward to supporting this project and being on the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tommy White, Laborers Local 872, 2345 Red Rock Street. I want to say, ever since Commissioner Ross asked me to go sit down with the Boring Company and Steve, we've had a great relationship, and the training that they are offering our members to build this on all these different phases. And I just want to echo what Bill Stanley said from Building Trades. We look forward on building this project and putting a lot of people to work, and the outcomes are going to be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Sherwood, Vice President, Nevada Ready Mix. It's SHERWOOD, 151 Cassia Way, Henderson. Nevada Ready Mix is the oldest concrete supplier in the state of Nevada. We've been in business for 62 years. We're proud of that. I've got 2 brief comments. First, from a whole community perspective, I think it's stating the obvious that this project is really, really good for Southern Nevada. It's good for the environment, it's good for the people, it's good for jobs, it's good for the economy. Secondly, from a personal perspective, in our 62 years of business, we've supplied most of the hotel casinos in Las Vegas with their concrete needs. We supplied this very building we stand in today. All these projects have had positive impacts on our community in one way or another. But this project is truly transformative. It will improve the quality of life for the entire community. The 200 men and women who have high-paying jobs at Nevada Ready Mix need this work. We encourage your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Madam Chair, for the record, Gary Milliken, it's G-A-R-Y-M-I-L-L-I-K-E-N, 8274 Vista, Colorado Street, representing the Nevada Contractors Association. Again, not only are these good paying jobs, if you notice, the project's being done in phases, so it's not like a one and out and then you're done. This is going to be phased in over a period of time, which means those good jobs will continue. Secondly, I've lived here a long time, and how many discussions have we had about transportation and doing this and doing that, and we've spent a lot of money on transportation. It's good to see something different, something new come in. We need to look a lot more of this into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Gerald Gardner. I'm the General Counsel and Senior Vice President at Resorts World Las Vegas. And I'm here on behalf of Resorts World Las Vegas to provide our 100% support for the Boring Company and for the Vegas Loop project. We have been working with the Boring Company for about 2 years now, planning and building a point-to-point tunnel from the Las Vegas Convention Center to the Resorts World property. Our experience working with the Boring Company has been a great partnership, working with Steve Davis, working with Ashley Steinberg and the entire Boring Company team, many of whom I think are here today. And in just a few months, we're going to open the first actual Boring Company station at a Las Vegas Strip resort. So we're very thrilled about that, and we're equally excited about the prospect of seeing the Boring Company move forward with their vision for the larger project. We believe that this has incredible potential to expand to the entire valley, not only to our neighbors on the resort corridor, but to Las Vegas's sports and entertainment venues, to the airport, to downtown, and beyond. So on behalf of Resorts World Las Vegas, again, I would like to state our 100% support for this and urge the Commission to approve the franchise agreement and the land use applications. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Brent Conrad, B-R-E-N-T-C-O-N-R-A-D, President of WordCo BC. We've been working with the Boring Company since they came to town. Actually, we brought them to town. We hauled their equipment here. We've been hauling their material off. And it's been a pleasure working with them. I think this is the exciting thing I've seen here in 44 years, or I think that's how long I've been here, something like that. But it looks, it's great for us. It's great for my 45 Teamsters. We look forward to continue to do the work.
Great.
I hope you support it. Thanks.
Thank you. Good morning.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Steve Hill. I am the CEO of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. Pretty much everything has been said. I would like to thank all of you for your leadership and your support and your guidance. I want to thank your staff and repeat what Stephanie and Steve said. Yolanda, Randy, Nancy, Dennis, Jerry, all of the folks who work for them. This conversation for me started about a little over 3 years ago, and for your team shortly after that. It led to the system at the convention center, which is not only a great amenity and experience for our customers at the convention center, it's also shown how great a system this is, that it can be done, and I think provided confidence for this community to move forward. It also was a key reason that the LVCVA purchased the monorail. That system is important. We hope to be able to continue to run that for a number of years, but it obviously has a limited life. And this system, Steve talked about 57,000 people per hour capacity. For perspective, the monorail has about 3,400 people per hour capacity. Our bus system is about 7,500 people per hour. This really is the only viable solution to traffic congestion issues on the Strip. This community, as was mentioned, has put studies together and put teams of people together to look at what the alternatives are, and they have covered a broad variety of options, all of which cost more than $1 billion at least. We are going to get a key part of a solution at no public funding cost to this community. So it's very exciting along those lines. As was mentioned, this is going to be an attraction in and of itself. This is going to be a draw for Las Vegas. This is going to add to the Las Vegas brand. This is who Las Vegas is. We are at the cutting edge of these types of issues, and this is going to be an attraction for our city. It is going to make the experience for our customers and our visitors here much more pleasant. It is going to give them an easy opportunity to experience everything that Vegas has to offer in a much more efficient, much more fun way. So I want to again thank all of you for all the work that you've done to get to this point, and I would appreciate your support of this agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Mr. Ewing. Are you going to keep the love fest going, or are you going to throw some zingers in? I'm just checking.
Okay, my name is Ed Ewing. I want to be clear about this from the very beginning. I once had a dog in this fight. On Thursday, about a year and a half or 2 years ago, I saw the ad in the newspaper of that they wanted a contractor to do the transportation system for the convention center. I saw that on Thursday. On Monday, I had an appointment with one of the largest construction companies in the world in China, the China Railway Construction Company, which has projects in more than 100 countries. And by Wednesday of that week, which would be Tuesday here, they were so excited about doing this project because they have no projects here in the United States, and they were willing to call back their employees from China, from the New Year's holidays, and to work on this. But they asked me to ask the two questions of the LVCVA. Number one, has a contractor already been picked? Number two, is there any chance of extending the month period of time because they didn't have time to do the studies that would be necessary? And the answer to both those questions was no. So, before I left China, I sent a letter to them saying that I'm sure I think that they're not telling the truth about the picking of the contractor, that the boring company will win this contract. Well, so when the presentation of the boring company to the public came at the LVCVA, I went prepared to totally criticize this project. The presentation was incredible. I ran and everything that was been said here at the meeting, I agreed with. I ran up to Steve Hill and I said, "This is fantastic. This changes everything. This is revolutionary for the entire country." And but then imagine my chagrin when I see that what was done at the convention center. There's no rail there. There's no automatic system. It's a laughing stock. It's going to be a white elephant unless something is done. It compares nothing to do with the words. You should not believe anything that these people are telling you, because all you have to do is go right on that ridiculous thing at the convention center. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak during public comment? Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Chris Meyer, 3331 Keller Springs Court. I actually came here this morning because a zoning change item I thought was going to be on the agenda, but as a citizen, I have rode the loop many, many times during convention periods, It is a fabulous system. I'm here to offer an observation-friendly suggestion. Currently, the system is non-autonomous. It will be autonomous in the future, from what I understand. Those vehicles that will be operating will be current Tesla vehicles, along with maybe some type of new vehicles that are developed for the system. It might be interesting to give them the leeway to be able to charge maybe another auto manufacturer some money while it's non-autonomous to generate some additional revenues for them. It could take care of some, future maybe concerns about money coming in. If you look at it from a marketing perspective, it's certainly an advertisement for those Tesla vehicles. Fabulous system. Please approve it, and great stuff.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment. I'm going to invite Ms. Allen and Mr. Davis back up. But Ms. King, can I ask two questions? I thought I read in here that there was a piece where we could audit their stuff and we'll get some regular updates, but I can't now seem to find it, and I must not highlighted it. I thought it was in section 2. I mean, is that still, we still are going to receive as on a regular ongoing basis, right?
Yes, we have the ability to audit their financials, and I cannot
I couldn't
recall
find it.
where that is in here.
All right, as long as I remember that to be true. Rob?
Right, the reporting requirements in section 10.
Oh, it's section 10.
It's section
Okay.
10.1.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. Allen, Mr. Davis?
Just briefly, Madam Chair, Commissioners, we'd very much like to thank everyone that took the time to come here today to support the project. As you know, and you see every meeting, it's easier to come down here and oppose things than it is to actually come down and support projects. And these folks are obviously extremely successful business owners and members of our community that have taken a lot of time to come down here to support this project, which I think shows a lot about the importance and magnitude of this project. The number of jobs and the amount of economic stimulus that this will bring to our entire valley, and then just the overall change to the landscape is phenomenal. And so I know I represent Steve Davis and the Boring Company, but I personally would like to thank him for choosing us, because I think we're very, very lucky to have this opportunity at no cost to Clark County, and instead at a phenomenal economic stimulus for the overall valley and the economy. So we're happy to answer any questions, of course, and we'd ultimately ask for your approval today.
Okay, Commissioner Segerblum, you have
Yeah, Mr. Davis, I just wanted to clarify or put on the record, do you agree that there's a tentative agreement with the building trades?
I didn't hear the question.
I'm sorry. Do you agree with Mr. Stanley that there is a tentative agreement with respect to the building trades?
Oh, yeah. Bill's team has a lot of great contractors, and they're going to be an integral part of this. So we chatted about that, and we're on the same page.
Okay. And secondly, one of the big issues is going to be moving the dirt, because that's going to impact a lot of the streets. Have you thought about maybe using a train or something to get it out of the valley?
Yeah, it's typically done by truck. You just have to plan haul routes that are on non-traffic streets, which is fairly simple to do.
But there's going to be a lot of dirt, so make sure you don't destroy the roads in the process.
Absolutely. That'd be on us.
Okay, any other questions? I just have two ask. One, can you keep us on a regular update on the training component? Because I think it's going to be important that for the long term of our community that we have the training. And two, as you make some of these milestones, that the board kind of know. I don't want to read about it in the paper. I want you to call me first. So right, I think the rest of the board would agree to that.
Yes, Madam Chair, just
Commissioner Gibson.
one other thing. There are a lot of things that are going to happen that will enhance the system after you get it up and operating. And we would love to hear, as opposed to read about, since we've been with you and we're working and we're establishing a brand new partnership here. We would like to hear about from you the enhancements to the program when you become autonomous. And I've talked to the drivers when I've been on the system, and they talk about that. To the extent that new vehicles, new capacities, we heard from an architect who is disabled, who was very excited about the project, had nothing negative to say, but hoped he could be able to board in his wheelchair. that's something that is really important to us. As you work on and develop those new enhancements, please keep us in the front of the list of people who get to know what's going on.
Yes, of course.
Madam Chair, if I could just make a comment. As we've gone through this process, there have been a lot of things that have been in discussion and have been overwhelmingly important to us and the community. It is, I think that it gives comfort to those of us who have to take action on something like this to know that security is paramount. It is, when I say security, I mean safety and security. The security of the individuals who will be working there, the security and safety of those who will be riding. And it's clear that that is something that is paramount in your presentation and in the contribution that labor representatives have expressed and been a part of. The other things that matter to us are the economic impacts of anything that happens in this valley. These are primary jobs, that is, people are paid a living wage who will work both to build it. We hope that those who operate it will likewise be paid a living wage. The private dollars versus the public dollars is something that we've debated forever. I was 12 years on the LVCVA board when I was mayor in Henderson, and we talked about, but it was more of a woe is me party as we talked about things we could never do in Las Vegas. We could never build a public subway system. This enables a public subway system, and it is something that we would never otherwise have. And to be able to do 57,000 passengers an hour, when you look at CES, or the great biggest of our conventions, when the convention authority put together a study group that was a transportation advisory group, it was billions of dollars to try and address the problem. But imagine the downtime of the people who are attending these conventions as they wait for a bus or some other means of transportation to get away from the convention center at the end of a long convention day. This enables us to become more efficient as a destination. And I'm sure that the hotels are licking their chops to be able to get their folks back in those facilities. The environmental benefits, those who were around when the monorail was first proposed many years ago knew that it wasn't the biggest piece, it wasn't a major piece, it was only a piece of the growing concern about environmental impacts of idling cars and transportation immobility because of the congestion that we're experiencing. And this looks like this could be something that would be very, very dramatic. And then finally, the notion that this could be something people would just go to get on and ride and see what it's like is not to be lost on us. That happened when the monorail first opened. And the opportunity here is to add something else that will attract people to Las Vegas. So I think that now that we have heard from all we have heard from, this gives us an opportunity as a community to put our shoulders together and really push forward to do something that could be not just marginally impactful, but massively impactful. And I'm supportive.
Okay, Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Davis. I know we've had multiple conversations over the last year, and I've had the opportunity to tour the tunnels. I know that there were times where you were ready to throw in the towel, and so I appreciate the fact that you've stuck it out and that you have really had continuing conversations with our partners in labor who have been on the ground here building the amazing structures on the Strip for decades now. I did want to ask one thing, as you're probably aware. 2 years ago, Clark County moved forward with adopting climate action and sustainability goals, and we're continuing that process right now with our All-In Clark County program. I just wanted to have you speak for a moment to how this project will help address our climate issues that we have here in Southern Nevada.
Yeah, we can actually get you the data of the number of tons of CO2 not emitted based on cars not being on the road and not idling, which is actually one of the major issues. It's an enormous number of tons. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's fundamental. I mean, you start with the electric vehicles, and then as long as you're using solar power generation, which if you look at the convention center, that's where it's going, you can save an incredible amount, and we'll happily participate in the program, speak, and get you all the data. But that's a big part of this.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Ooh, I feel like we've come a long ways in a short time. With that, I'd entertain a motion from somebody. Okay, Commissioner Gibson has made a motion with the clarifications of the deletion of the waivers, correct, for staff?
That's correct.
That's correct, with the read into the record for the two zoning items. So this will approve the franchise agreement as well as the two zoning items.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
And the additional requirement to bring us the training, the updates on those things, okay?
Sure.
All right, seeing no other comments or questions, please cast your vote. And that motion passes. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We very much appreciate you all.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It's-
I know
it's
the room's
historic.
going to clear, but we got to keep going.
You know, when you say we've come a long way in a short time, it's only 10:30.
Yeah, that's true too. That too. All right. Didn't really want to take a break. If I could so kindly ask you guys to walk and talk on the way out so we could keep going. The clerk can't hear if we got to move forward, so appreciate you coming.
Part of the watershed moment, but I had little involvement up until Monday, so that's your part.
Okay, go ahead, Nancy.
Next are items 32 and 33, which can be heard together. Item 32, WS 21.